This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
It's kind of like when we're talking about being lonely as a business owner, right? Like that is like our tagline now.
It's,
you know what I mean? That's the hook.
That's my core thing for me personally too, right? Yeah. Like that's what I feel.
Who was I with? Like McHenry and all those guys at the When We Were Young concert over the weekend.
Yeah.
And they're asking me about this, and I was basically telling them like anyone that owns a business, dude, is like, they don't even just sit there in silence. They're just like, yeah, I do feel like that sometimes. And like, even with McHenry, right? I'm helping so McHenry's always only done equity.
Right.
So he's trying to bridge the gap up there, right? And I'm like, why don't you get an SBA loan? He's like, I don't know. I've never done it.
Why do you do what, sorry?
An SBA loan.
Oh, really?
So, and you know what those are?
We don't have that.
Yeah, you
small
don't
business.
Have small business administration. So the government does SBA loans, right? Where what they do is they financially back the loan through a bank.
Okay.
So I'm doing one for my building up in Shelley, Idaho, where it's actually kind of funny because I'm putting down a third, Chase Bank is picking up a third, and the SBA is picking up a third. And so, which kind of drives me nuts actually.
So there's bank and SBA, government back loan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're normally way cheap interest rates, right? They're normally like half a point, maybe 3/4 of a point cheaper than like what, the market is.
Okay.
And so they're fantastic though. But like, the interesting thing with Michael, right, is you look at Michael, he's like everybody else. There's a million things where people are really, really good at 4 or 5 things, and they're just like, at a couple of things, and they have no idea about a lot of things.
Yep.
Which makes a lot of sense. I'm the same way, right? Like I'm really good at like probably 5 things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, it's like, like you've talked to me about medical stuff.
Well, even in that,
I have no idea.
Like this, I love this point. You're like, this is probably the most helpful conversation we could have around Agora and for everyone.
Yeah.
What are you like? There's 5 things. If we take business, I almost get like what I've really been humbled on is that all the stuff that we've done, we've all grown, we've all invested, we've all done all that stuff. And I'm just learning now, I'm like, in building out Agora and really thinking through it is like, I used to think I'm pretty good at doing most things. And I'm like, that's just not true. I'm like, pretty good compared to what?
Right.
And what, like a coach, he taught me this. He's like, it's all about getting these founders out of working in the business and working on it. So like you said, McHenry, me, you, subject matter experts. We're really good at like McHenry's restaurants, his brands, his all this stuff. Like that is untouchable. Me, like certain things, you certain things, but then there's the organization of the company. There's understanding structure. There's strategy for different verticals of different industries. There's finance. There's the detailed and tracking SOPs and KPIs. No one is good across all that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I thought I knew a lot of everything. And so I would just take it on as a founder to be like, oh, that's my job. It's my job because I had some ego and I had some like a weird, it's just an early founder, not experienced. Experienced founder would be like, that's not my job. That's not my job. That's not my job. Out of 10, it's like 7 aren't.
Yeah.
Because I could hire people that are better than me.
Mm-hmm. And you should.
100%.
That's actually the key to hiring people. You hire someone who's better than you every single freaking time. And if you can get your butt to the point where you can hire out yourself, you hire out the CEO, the GM, and they're better than you, that's the golden ticket.
100%. I think that's a big thing. I don't know if McHenry would be interested to get his take on this, but especially when you take money, private equity, you feel like you have to do everything because everyone's asking you. And if it's not, I thought like, I should do this, this, and this so that when I tell them that if it's good or bad, I know exactly why. And there's ownership on it. And that's fine. It's a virtuous trait maybe, but it's just inexperience.
Yeah.
What those guys want is for you to lead that company and to have vision and to know where you're really good and then be really good at firing yourself and delegating and hiring. Hiring is hard, right? And so if you do that, you can scale a business. This is exactly what Agora is getting set up for.
Yeah.
Is like help people identify what they're really good at, got a good business, good person, product or service. I'm at $1 million in sales, whatever it is, pick a number, 5 million. I want to go to 10 or 20 million. I literally don't know what that means. It's all those things.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the other thing with it too is I think the most important thing that we will do up there is, twice a week masterminds. Maybe even more. We might actually extend
Monday,
it to like
Wednesday
4,
meetings, whatever.
something like that. Yeah.
Check in with all the
we
companies.
Just bring everyone in, right? We just have these big meetings, these big masterminds, right? It's like, hey, who's got an issue? Bam. And it's just free advice. Boom. free advice, free advice, free advice. We're all in there. All of our experts are in there. All the other guys are in there, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's not your issue yet, and it will be, you're hearing the solution already, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like the longer you're in here, right, you just get more exposed and exposed and exposed and exposed, but you don't have someone in your office trying to sell you a marketing plan, right? You don't have someone trying to sell you an accounting plan, right? Or an IT plan. Like the IT guys, they drive me crazy the most, right? Because I built this, server stack in my one of my companies. I don't know, I got 90K into the freaking thing, something like that, right? And it's just decently small company, right? It's not like it's
a lot
this
of money.
massively robust thing, right?
Yeah.
So then my IT guy leaves and moves out of the country, does his, chasing a dream or whatever, good for him. And you interview a couple other people to come in to do maintenance on it, right? And they want to rip out all the servers and get their own servers in there. And I'm like, screw you, dude.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? These are brand new. Well, I don't really like Mac. There's the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you don't know what you're doing,
Yep.
right? So when I first did this 15 years ago, right? It was like, okay, wait, how much is a server? They're $6,000 a piece. That's what back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. But if you're in Agora, right? Or any system like it, right? But obviously we're promoting Agora.
Sure.
You can just ask. Just be like, Brett, what do you think about this? These guys are asking me this, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, don't do that. This. So these are the things you need to ask, blah, 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 blah. Boom. You're having like 2-minute long conversations.
You just skipped 6 months and $100,000 worth waste.
Oh, Judas Priest. Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And then everyone wants best practices. There's not a business out there that doesn't want best practices, but you can get it across industries.
Mm-hmm.
You're golden.
Oh, yeah.
Right? All the way down to like paying taxes. You're about to learn here in America. I don't know how you pay taxes here, obviously, but
no. It's always been shipped back.
Oh, it's always been back to Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So welcome to the craziest tax code you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. I'm going to get a good accountant.
I'm not sure what Canada's like, but I'm sure ours is worse.
Well, we get robbed up there because we're socialist, way more socialist, right? We have to pay a ton of everything. Yeah. So if you got a good accountant here, that's the thing. They can work the system better. Mm-hmm. Canada's like, no, all of yours is mine.
Yeah.
I think the main thing too, that I really like about the angle that we're taking with Agora is like, yes, there's going to be a community of the same type of people that we are, right? Our founders. That's the group. That's the demographic. Like entrepreneurs, founders. Yes, there's going to be community there. Obviously, we're going to do like events, and we're going to have the software inside of Agora where we're all tracking all the companies and progress. Monday and Wednesday meetings, or Monday, Friday, check on success, metrics, really detailed. What worked, what didn't. Sit with the other founders. Okay, good. Break, hour every time, back to work. But it's this exact discussion that like that's the tangible element of a business, right? Well, all the other businesses are going to win through that. Agora wins. We grow, we get paid. But doing that process and showing people, maybe giving them that, like, skip that server rack headache, that times 100 in your business, right? And this is where to your other point of like, you're in a room and you hear a bunch of people talking about stuff, and they're not even talking about the exact same business that you're in, but you listen to that conversation and you're like, oh, and it's different context, but it applies. Mm-hmm. And you have this realization that you might've been missing for like years just because you're buried in it, where it's like, you hear guys talking about their business and the struggles with their management team. And you're like, well, I need managers because my revenue is going up, so I'm going to hire some. Then you realize, you hear this conversation, and you're like, I've never hired a management team. I don't know how to structure one. Like I didn't even realize there's actual set structure for these things, how to manage them. How am I going to bring in like with Colbor, a good experience was like, we jumped up from 2 to 100 some employees. And at that point I needed to hire guys that were executives. Mm-hmm. They're like 60 and they're wealthy, successful guys. That's who I want.
Yeah. How
do I, that didn't finish grade 12, gain those guys respect and manage them and lead them to lead the teams? I don't know. So you hire them, you hire the wrong ones. I spent huge money on some guys and they were so disruptive. They were not they weren't led by me. Yeah. I was just like, hey, you're a good COO, go COO things. Mess. And no blame on them, but CEO that was inexperienced that was trying to patch holes a way that didn't work. Yeah. Whereas if someone had an Agora, go talk to the 10 other guys, they're like, oh, no. Don't try and hire $500,000 a year guys at once. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Okay, well, what do I do then? Because I need help.
Scale.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Scale.
Yeah. You got to scale, my man.
This whole thing for me comes back to like the most important thing for, I think, both of us. If we can give that to people, the functional element of it, But that process alleviates the stress and the heartache and the most of the pain.
Yeah.
So that you can enjoy your life.
That's a very good point. Because I think what a lot of people don't realize is running a business. Well, let me back up. They see someone, let's just say in their 60s, that ran a business and sold it, right? And they see it's like, oh, this guy lived an amazing life. And they see all the outside things of it, right?
Yeah.
And then when you talk to the business owners, it's like, yeah, you don't understand the strife and the stress and the feeling alone and the freaking, you know, am I going to be able to make payroll this month? And like all the ups and downs and all that kind of stuff, right? And the cool thing is you should actually enjoy your job.
Right.
If you're running a business, it should be awesome.
Daily.
It's actually tons of fun, right? It is stressful. You get sued, stuff happens, you know, it's just the way that it is, right? But if you can add that confidence into a younger CEO, right? And that's really our mission and our goal, right? Is to just give that confidence, make them, you know, not make them, but it's like, just give them every freaking tool and give them an educational lab that they can walk into at any time.
100%.
Because that's what you don't have on the street. You don't have a lab that you can go into and say, I'm thinking about this product. What do you guys think? Right? Well, this is what I think about it. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And you get all this feedback, all this stuff, and it's just concentrated to you. And then you give the exact same energy back to another person inside, another member of Agora. And then it's just this like give and take mentorship /
Yeah.
It's really, really a powerful tool.
I think so too. I'm most excited about that. We know when we get in a room where you're with like 5 other guys and everyone's just kind of hitting and they're doing their business and you hear their success and you're like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And
then the next guy's talking, and then you see, we've all been in those meetings where most often it happens to me, like I'm going to a Tribe Angels event on Friday in Park City and they do these networking dinners, but they're vetted. So it's accredited investors only. So there's no selling in there, which really changes the dynamic of a conversation because the room is, they're open to talk.
Yeah.
And so when you get in those and people are just sharing, they're not selling, I just get more energy and fire out of that because everyone's literally talking about what they love doing and the success they're having. And then they're like, dude, give me your number. Dude, let's go for lunch. Dude, I got another thing you got to talk to this guy on. I can help you with that. You help me with this. And it's so open and you just leave there. You're like fired up. You're like, damn, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And you got 5 other meetings, 2 other connections. It reinvigorated you for your own business, right? Like, do you get in rooms like that too, where I just never, when I get into the rhythm of cold bore, I think a lot of us get into our businesses, you go to your same building, you do your same thing. You got all your emails to do. You got your process, you got your lunch, you got your thing. And it just kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that just me? Is that like a huge effect on me?
No, it goes for everybody. It's burnout. You're literally describing burnout.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You kind of get there, especially if you've come from a world where you have to be very task oriented, right? Like being an entrepreneur, right? Like there is shit you have to do every single day, right? Like bills have to be paid. You have to collect from these people. And then as your company gets a little bit bigger and you've done some good hiring, right? Like you actually don't have as much, right?
Shouldn't.
So you get a little rudderless.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't, but a lot of people do.
There's that transition period.
Yeah. And then they're like, well, what do I actually do? And then they get to work and they start burning out. Then they start like feeling antsy and then they start getting into things and doing different things. And there's no one there to really help them. Right. And most people don't set up advisory boards.
Yeah.
And they definitely don't set them up right. That's another thing that's wild. I've been on tons of advisory boards and it's crazy the difference between a company that really uses them and a company that just thinks that they need them for their, whatever, one of their investors is requiring it, right? Or something like that. Yeah. And at the end of the day, right, it's just like, yeah, if you the one thing that the owner or the entrepreneur or the CEO really has to do is you have to bring the energy into the company. Yeah. And you set the culture through your own energy. So if you're burning out, your entire company is going to burn out. You got to keep that leadership just marching.
100%. That's what I'm pretty sure like that was a massive contributor to me getting fired at Cold Bore. I subconsciously manifested getting fired from my own business because I was so in it and so wrapped up on trying to deliver on all the departments, like being there for money raising, being there for software meetings, being there for this, being there for that, direct sales. I'm getting on a plane because I'm going to do Exxon. Problem with that is you burn yourself out. And then when everyone's coming to you, you forget they're looking to you as a leader. You now have changed in everyone else's eyes. You've gone through this like butterfly metamorphosis where you're now something different. Mm-hmm. They look up to you. There's tension when they talk to you. You control, like, this is a part that didn't land and I didn't have enough I didn't have enough understanding to understand the impact of this, but you control their paychecks. You feed their family's food is yes or no away from a conversation they have with you. And it's just from our perspective of the founders, I'm literally just drowning here. I don't think of that. I'm just still the same me in my head, still the same idiot. Actually know less about what's going on right now because there's so much more going on that's all new. I feel like a complete imposter the whole time. Yeah. So as a human, I'm just scrambling. And I don't have the capacity then to sit and think I have a different relationship with this person that I have to be aware of, because if I'm short with them really quick, that's a huge impact to their day. Where I'm just tapped and this guy's been with me since it was 2 people, but now we're 200 people. Oh. And so he sees me different and I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't have fucking time for that today. Gone. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But that guy's like, oh, shit. What's going on with my career? What's happening with my family? You know what I mean? And so that founder burnout, it just like, one, it's just not fun to live with. That's the bigger thing.
Yeah.
Right. But 2, that is what there's certain levels where companies get to where they're okay and they'll just operate at that for a while and they're cash flow positive and they're great. But then if you want to scale and you reinvest a bunch of money in infrastructure and all of a sudden your cash flow tightens up and you don't realize that you're going to hit that burnout again, that's when stuff starts to get really rocky, even with profitable businesses, right?
Yep.
So there's like a big opportunity cost to wanting to grow a business.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that's, that people really need to know, right? So they're working at a job, you're young, you're whatever, maybe even you're old, who cares? And you're like, I'm going to start my own thing, right? There's no checklist to pull down off the internet of stuff that you have to do, right? But there is one. And there's probably a couple thousand items that need to be done on there, right? But you want to get all those done as fast as humanly possible and get your company to a place where it's profitable. And then all you're doing from there is looking at constraints, releasing them, and then pumping it full of marketing to fill it back up to the next constraint. And so where people will really, really enjoy their company that they've built is when they get to that point.
Yes.
Right. Where you're really only doing 1 or 2 things. You're either bringing in leads or you're getting rid of constraints. Boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom. That's like for me, right? In most of my companies, that's all I do.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can tell you embody the enjoyment of it. Like you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Your business is run well. You go in there, you do your thing, and then you're out.
Yeah.
That's the end game. That's where,
you know, what's interesting when you say that, right? It's like when you say businesses ran well.
Yeah.
Right. What does that really mean? You and I know what it means.
Right.
But a lot of people, right? Like they'll hear that, yeah, businesses ran well, businesses ran well. You know, it's almost like saying vulnerability over and over again, right?
Sure.
People, it kind of like loses its thing, right? But that is a very good point. The businesses run well because that's the point that I'm at.
Right.
Right. We're just in growth all the time. We're just always in growth mode. Right.
Systems and processes.
Yeah. And it fixes a lot of problems, right? Because all your employees, the morale in there, right? When everything's moving up, everyone's great. Yes. Like, oh yeah, we're moving. Things are getting bigger. Hired a couple of new people, getting raises, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff that exists in that world. That's all gravy, right? It's when you start regressing that things are really, really a problem. And they're massively a problem if you don't know why.
Yes, 100%. And that's where I'd say like 5% of the business, well, maybe more than that. I don't know, 10, 20 are in your spot for the whole world. But then there's the ones that are in their early stages that are not making enough money to really be that relaxed. Then like I went through the happy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And everyone would think this was the disconnect is that, oh, because you have a big business or because it's a certain size or certain employees, like that guy's good. No, it's because there's a lot of factors. Like you may be growing so fast that you don't have any free cash flow. You may have hit a plateau where you had to reinvest in something to change something because you needed growth. Like if you took private equity and venture capital, you know, McHenry can attest to this. That's a whole different thing. That is a level of stress that almost never goes away. In my experience, there may be people that experience that differently, but the issue with the private equity and venture this will get into a bit of I think where we've identified a gap and an alternative to that, that actually plays well with the venture guys. That's why I'm going to that thing this weekend.
Yeah.
But if you take private equity and venture money to grow your business or to whatever you want to do, just need that capital, then you have a job. Now you're reporting to someone, right? And that reporting is really serious. It's not just like, how are you doing? And it's a nice conversation. It's like, no, to get that money, you had to develop a business plan with a model, with a cohesive strategy that set targets that you have to hit. So not only do you have to know how to do all that and think through it, but if you don't hit it, there's an expectation set 12 months ago or 24 months ago. And if you're not there, you're open to down rounding. Now, if you have good or depending on what kind of money you took, you're open to it. You're exposing yourself. And that causes a whole nother level of stress where it becomes unenjoyable, all this stuff.
No, you're right. Anytime you take an investor's money, there is a decent, thick level of pressure.
Yes.
Always. It doesn't matter who he or she is, right?
Private
It could be
money.
an individual, or it could be, venture capital or PE, right? It's just, and that's the way that it is, right? Because they're going to track their money. Their money went to work. Just happened to go to your house or your business, right? Not your house, but it's going to your house to go to work. And so if you don't return that capital to them, right, then things start changing. And all of them have covenants on your business too, right? They'd be insane not to have covenants. So then they remove the CEO, or there's all sorts of shit that they can do. Call the note. Depends on how it's all structured, as you mentioned. But yeah, and that's actually something that every business owner should really have a conversation with a trusted mentor on.
Yes.
Is it time for me to take money?
Yes.
Because most of the time, and I would say 70% of it, the answer is no. It's not time to take money, right? But, but sometimes there is, right? And then if there is, we want to connect them with all of our contacts and blast their business out of the atmosphere.
100%. I think what you point out there, if there's one main thing I would say before you do seek some mentorship or some counsel, is have somebody go over why you think you need money.
Yeah.
Because it may just be that you need more accurate tracking, you need better systems and processes. You actually just need to gut it out for a while.
Yeah.
A lot of people, there's kind of like, I've experienced and been part of raising money in two different times. One is because you're growing so fast that you need true growth capital. This is selling products. You've got big revenue coming in. Everything's tracking the right way. That's true growth capital. Then you're never going to sell on needing money because you're kind of screwed and you're out of money. But that is where people say, I need to raise growth capital for my company because I want to grow. Mm-hmm. You're not really growing. You don't even have sales. Your processes are broken. Your management team is not doing what it needs to do to track and manage the teams properly. Mm-hmm. That's why you're not getting sales. But taking money is not going to fix your problem, right?
And that scenario is just going to exacerbate it.
To
the nth degree, because if you're not ready for that money and you get it, it'll bury your business.
100%. You're tying a noose, right?
Yeah.
You may you may have temporary relief for 6 months when you get that money, but then you're in a different world, right? And people, until you go through it, which we've been through a bunch of times, it's just so serious. It's like, that's the end of your business. That's the end of your career. That's the end. You're way better off to slow down, reduce infrastructure, look at increasing margins. Like there's no magic wand to magically get more sales until you put structure and process in place. So most of the time it's like reduce everything down to get our margins back up to where we're not bleeding. Mm-hmm. Humble up, do that, suffer that. Because suffering that rather than taking money and piling it on to your company that doesn't have the right process or the machine to turn it out, that's where, like, in a place like wherever it is, but Agora, we're going to focus heavy on that stuff. Structure, strategy, guidance, community, all that.
Yeah.
Where I think this is really interesting, in talking to these venture guys last week, it just occurred to me that the gap that we identified is actually developing a new business model that plays well with the venture guys, but gives the founders another option and or bridge to get to the venture guys. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist. And I was like, oh, holy crap. We didn't realize that, but just because we did what we did, we're building something to solve a problem for ourselves. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, there is a real gap for the broader market here. And that even the venture guys. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a thing. It's either go get money or do Agora. That's not true at all. So the venture guys usually invest in companies, and usually companies will take money because they want to grow or scale, or they just need it because they're screwed, one or the other. But when they do that, the venture guys, one of their prerequisites, they look at the founder, the team. That's usually the biggest part of an investment, then the product or service, then what's the likelihood they have the ability to execute on this. So like the product or service is actually a sliver. Who the people are, their experience, and their ability to execute is most of it, right? So we as founders think like, oh, I have the best product and this cool thing. People are going to give me money for it. Everyone who's been in the game knows execution is 99%.
Yeah.
That's in the structure. That's in the strategy and all that. So the issue that venture guys have that is actually aligned with founders are when they're giving founders money early on and they have a great idea or a great product and they're like, this is sexy and you live this. Mm-hmm. Their biggest concern is, I'm giving this early company without structure and without proven track record of process money. And I have to believe they're going to put that structure and process in place. I know they can do the good product and service. Like I know they're good at that.
Yeah.
And so the venture guys give them money, but that's also where it all fails. 9 of the 10 of them fail on process and structure. And so the venture guys have built accelerators to try to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Accelerators are early stage buildings where they'll give you structure, a little bit of guidance, some little bit of distribution, and they just try and feather that in to try to teach them. But to do that at any real depth and actually go through the process with you is not scalable. Yeah. They can't afford that. And so the accelerator, I look at it like a little safety guard, like a little net around their investment. Agora is coming here as a founders club to build the community, to put us all in there. So the biggest thing of Agora, momentum and leverage are the two most important things in business. Agora's community will be flush with momentum and leverage. You got all these people, I'm tight. I got money coming in, but I need $100,000 next month. We got you, right? Those little things that trip you up. But the momentum from the group being spun around all the time rather than doing it on your own. But the big difference in the structure here is rather than going and getting money from the VC guys, they come to Agora and they're like, here's what we'll assess it and be like, you really do have a great product here and you're profitable to a certain degree and you want to do this and you want to scale and you're thinking of taking money. I would suggest don't do that.
Yeah. You're
not there yet. You don't have enough sales and it's a big risk. So what you're betting on is that you're going to take that money and you're going to go from here to here. That's a bet. And so if you take that bet, that money, it's your only option right now to fulfill that, you have to give a huge chunk of equity up front before it's realized. So essentially you're taking a chunk of your company and giving it away while you are the one they're gambling on. You're gambling, they're gambling. Mm-hmm. So equity's gone, good luck. So that's this current situation you're faced with. With Agora, we're not taking your equity. We're saying, come in here. This is what we do. You're part of our family now. We're going to show you how to structure and build this under cash flow, or you need a little bit of debt or something, but we're just going to feather this in. That momentum and leverage plus the guidance of all the mentors and the distribution, 9 times out of 10, we're going to get you there. Mm-hmm. Like within 12 to 24 months, you're going to be there. While we're doing that, we talk to the venture guys and we're like, watch this company. And they're going, perfect. Because I actually don't want to give that guy money right now because it's too early.
Yeah.
But if you get him to this point at month 12, I will throw everything I got at that company.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then wait and watch, reduce your risk, venture guy, and he'll watch. And then we'll get the company, we'll work together, get it there. When it's coming, way before it's there, needing it, we're going to precede that conversation again. Come back in and look through the books, look through this. In 3 months, we're going to hit this. This has been de-risked for them. They're happy to invest at a higher valuation. Mm. That is 90% more likely to succeed. You'll get double your, whatever the numbers are, it's all arbitrary, double the valuation. And when you're ready, we'll fund it like that. I don't know how much time I wasted at Cold Bore trying to position, building financial narratives, running a business for 6 months, and then starting my roadshow for the next round. Mm. So I had to do it, right? I'm like, and I'm building how am I going to spin this so that it's getting the highest valuation to keep dilution down? And then I have to try to double next year and double. So I was double dutying every year for 10 years. And that I can't even begin to fathom the opportunity cost in that for me just running my business.
Yeah.
And having mentors around and distribution and not giving up that equity.
Right.
And then it's taking it at the right time. So it's like this gap filler, this bridge. That's like all these venture guys are so into this because it's just de-risking all of it's vetted deal flow, mm-hmm. right?
Yep. No, it's perfect for them, right? Because it's you prep them, right? It's almost like test prep. They're the ACT, right, or the SAT, right? We prep them, get them there, And the funny thing with getting money, right? Since we're on that topic, let's just talk VC.
Yeah.
PE is the exact same, private equity.
Yeah.
You have to be ready for them. People don't get what that means. You know what I mean? Like, how clean are your books? Mm-hmm. Can we actually look at your books? Can I look at trending in your books? If the answer is no, then don't even talk to any of these guys because they're going to reject you right off the bat. You're going to think that it's because your company's not good. Mm-hmm. It's actually because you're not prepped.
Yeah.
It's way different.
It's 100%.
But
same with high net worth guys, right? And sorry, I should leave PE out of it because they're way bigger. That's like way later stage stuff. So just VC.
Yeah.
High net worth VC guys are what we're going to be dealing with. I don't think that this is a model that will get to PE. But the structure, guidance, strategy. Honestly, for me, what I get so excited about this now is everything we're talking about here. people, great money will be there. This just like, there's so many opportunities to make money for everybody in here. It's like just a win-win-win everywhere. Like Agora's making money when we have the building full and we're providing all these services. All the companies are actually doubling and tripling their revenue. We're setting that up for funding. We're doing all their distribution. They're getting to leverage all the other companies in their networks. That's all great. Me getting to sit and have this conversation with you and with the next guy and the next guy and the next guy, and genuinely see those guys have a light bulb go off where they avoid that pain and that isolation and they're enjoying their day. And that 2 years from now, their whole family, their wife is just beaming and their kids run up to them because they're like, you're a stud.
Yeah, they did it.
You did it.
Yeah.
I just want to be part of that and watch that.
Yeah.
Then I'm fulfilled for life.
I think the other thing too, and that is a very good point. Actually, let's talk about that for a second, because if people would ask us, like especially me, right? Like Mark, well, actually you too. It's both interesting stories. Why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's because I was that guy. That's
Mm-hmm.
why. But then they'll go like, well, yeah, but you have all these companies now that you work on, you're in a fund, all this kind of stuff. Why do you still want to do this? Because it's like, not my businesses are not give back businesses. They're just not, right?
Yeah.
There's charity we can do in them, and we do, and there's different things like that, right? But like, and I donate stuff, but really at the end of the day, no one in my company, including myself, and I'm the owner, right? So there's not like this give back initiative where when you actually consult / mentor somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they succeed, it is very fulfilling.
Right.
And that's the really, really attractive part. And you're very similar to that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we had the exit from Agora, from Cold Bore, but at the same time, right? It's like, no, I was that guy for 10 years. I didn't know who to turn to. I was just trying shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, you want to really fail in a business, start Googling things.
Oh yeah.
Right? There's too much information on Google for you to pull it out and actually do anything with it.
Well, it's like, okay, well, there's 20 different options there. You're just picking one.
Right.
That's every Google search. It's like,
yeah.
Until you know.
Yep.
Right. And if you had people that you trust, that you know, that also understand your business,
Mm-hmm.
that's narrows it down to 2. We're not always going to be right either,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes the 20 and narrows it down to 2 and say one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
And
And especially too, maybe you do your own research. You got 3 different options. You come to the group, there'll be 20 people in that room, most likely. Right.
yeah.
On a minimum, and present the 3 options and ask everyone what they would do.
Yeah.
And they're going to
Yeah.
say XYZ or whatever. Right. And then it's like, kind of get a little bit of, majority rules and see, and then go back and see where you go from there.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things I actually hate about the internet. It's like information absolute overload.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have people who will ask me different things. They'll be, oh, I'll Google it. And I'm like, guys, there's not a lot of actual business information on Google. You have to know what you're looking for. If you really want to affect your business, you need a mentor.
Yeah. There's a lot. It's just that you
Yeah.
have to know how to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And very,
100%.
very specifically. I mean, if you type in what kind of business should I open up, it's going to go into LLC, LLP, S Corp, C Corp, and it's just going to tell you all the different things, but no one goes, hey, bro, you're starting a plumbing company. Let's get you into an LLC to hold your assets, right? And then we'll, file that as an S Corp. Then you're actually going to have a holdings company that's going to be an LLC as well. And then your operating company is going to be an S Corp because of XYZ.
Yeah.
Right. That is your actual structure in here.
Yeah.
But you have to have someone guide you into that. You can't read a book. You can't Google it.
You can. Lots of people do, but it's going to take you 3 times as long.
But there's no expert. Well, my point is there's no expert on Google to say this is what applies to you. You're just reading straight data.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so this just that's like an early stage, small impact, exact example.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could spend 2-3 months just doing it yourself, first timer, which we all do. And, or if you're going to do that anyway, because Agora doesn't do that early of startup, but scale that up a little bit to like strategic business decisions. Like should we run this model? Should we be talking to these clients? Is this our demographic? Aside from the financing, just operational stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When we walk through and be like, we'll know enough, because a business is a business is a business at a certain point. When you've done enough, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're making wooden spoons or building spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
The only element that changes is the spoon and the spaceship. 85% of the rest of the business is structure, process, strategy, and it's the same stuff. We got to check this out. We got to mitigate this. We got to watch for that.
Mm-hmm.
So having a lot of people with just all that experience of the 85, that's Agora. That's what'll speed things up and launch people, because you just worry about your spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that. Don't waste 3 months on going to read about LLCs and S Corps or whatever. Don't strategies and structures. Like, don't even explore that structure. It's not what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even worry about that. Here's why. And we explain it to them, teach Like and what I learned from people still today, don't do this because of that. Think about like, I love gym trainers because it's such an easy thing to understand. It's like, if you want to get ripped, you don't try and do it by yourself, or we do, all of us do. And I'm a prime example. Oh, I eat a little bit of chicken here, a little bit of rice, and I do some sit-ups and go to the gym every day, and I'm still not ripped. I just can't get there. I don't have someone who really knows what they're doing, pushing me, tracking me, inspiring me, making sure I hold accountable. And you watch the guys like Mel is a great example, and you are a great example, that get that help and get that accountability. Bam. Just like whole life changes.
Yeah.
Fast.
Absolutely.
Right? Same thing with business.
I think with business, every business owner out there needs to understand that time is not your friend. Ever. Yes.
Yeah. Right? Money loves speed.
Yeah. So if you blow 2 years trying to figure this crap out, that is so much money. It is so much money, right? Especially if you're, what will happen to everybody who sells a business, especially if you do it before you're 50, you will do a couple more. Oh, yeah. But then you'll realize you don't build businesses for legacy. You build businesses to sell them. There's not one company I'm involved with that is not built to sell. All of them are. Oh yeah. Every one of them. I'll sell every one of them. Yeah. And so just because it's the speed thing, right?
Dynamic.
Yeah. You just take those things up, sell them, take them up, sell them, take them up, sell them. Right. And sometimes that sales process is 10 years. It could be 30 years. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Depending on what you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to exit these things, right? Because then you take because the exit is where you get the big money. That's where you get the multiple on your EBITDA. That's where your assets get taken away and your liability gets completely taken away, and they just hand you a bag of cash generally. Right.
This is exactly why Agora structures, why I want to do this, is because yes, with all that, but there's a but here, asterisk, that's 90% of businesses. A structure like Agora, main reason why. When I thought about this, I'm like, I literally suffered very severe depression and isolation, all that. And I just never want that again. And I don't want that for anybody. That's the why. But mechanically, I also don't want to operate one business anymore because it's like all your eggs are in one basket for 10 years and your exit comes at the end, because a good CEO, first in, last out. You don't get money out along the way. You get your salary, whatever. But you're right on that point. But there are companies like this structure with Agora. This is more long-term. But the reason why is because what I learned going through all this with my lawyers and my finance guys, the VC guys, or the high net worth guys in Colbor, while I was in there operating every day for 15 hours a day, getting ground to dust, waiting for my payout 10 years later, they had done 7 deals in that 3 years. And they were in and out, took equity, took cash, sold, buy, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, exactly like you said. So Agora, I don't want to operate. Agora, I want to help people accelerate and exit or do whatever they want to do. They could keep it, they could legacy it. It's up to you. But the lawyers and the finance guys made all the money because the lawyers look at it and they're like, I don't really need money. I'm helping you on this project. I'll just take stock. And they do that with like 10 companies over the course of a year, and 2 hit, and they've got their own practice. So Agora, we don't need to charge a ton of money. We make money on the services, but people are in there are going to be offering us like, hey, I need a little extra help. I want to go an extra mile. Here's some equity for this. Here's some equity. Here's some equity. Okay. Now Agora, I could do that forever because we're doing the why, and we're just the business, the parent business. This business is to cycle businesses through it. So that one, legacy for us. Yeah. We do keep that one honestly, for a while and just do what we love.
Yeah. And who knows, we'll see what happens down the road, but we still might sell it.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see. It might not be any reason to sell it.
Here's the problem with legacy. Who are you giving it to?
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't have the right successor, you have
10,
to sell
20
it.
year timeline. Yeah. Yeah. Or 5, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I agree. Eventually. Yeah.
No, I think eventually. Right. But see, there's so many people I've met. They're like, well, I want my son to take this over.
Oh.
And it's like,
let them do their own thing.
Exactly. Number one, does your son want to take this over? I don't know. He's 9. I wouldn't go to work every day thinking I'm building a business for my son to eventually take over that there's a high probability that he won't.
Right. And they're not you. They're their own individual.
Yeah.
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 I agree. Businesses that you build are like your own clothes or your own race car seat or something like that fits you.
Yeah.
It's really hard to shoehorn. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too is it's like, if you want to be a better person, you have to build things. You have to build relationships. You have to build yourself. You have to build companies. You have to build your career. Like all that stuff exists inside of there. So if you're a person that's like, you know what, man, I don't feel like I'm moving through life quick enough. I don't feel like I'm, that life is for me. They don't feel like there's abundance in their life. Any of that kind of stuff, whether you're a business owner or not, right? The structure and the architecture that Agora brings can actually extend into almost every part of your life.
Absolutely.
Because just building things every day is what makes people better.
Just being better.
It really does.
Yeah. And if you like, and it's never this, it's never me, you, anyone. Yeah. We're never like that every day. There's weeks, there's months where I'm just like, damn, I'm not that productive this week. I'm not that motivated. I'm not like, and that can be hard to pull out of because you're either trending in life one way or the other. You're never stagnant. You're going down or you're going up. And so what I love most about this is the community that we're going to build with this. It's not a coaching group in the same sense. They have a different business model, a different approach to it. Ours is going to be a little bit more like smaller network, a little more tight knit, but very intentional with intentional outcomes. And so there's a lot of passion, energy goes into that. It's a little bit different than a more like a group for personal reasons is its own thing. This will be very high energy, like very intentional, very purpose driven. So if you're that type of person that needs a little bit more, which we all do, of that in our life, like we can also have our coaching groups where then that's our moment to like release and let it out. But those personal groups tend to not have as much, like when you're there, you get hyped up with your buddies, but after that, it kind of just, you go back to life and you're like, okay, life is still pretty hard. Go to Agora every day. This is like either that's the company's head offices that are in there or it's their satellite. And they have a couple of people from marketing coming this week. They have a couple of people and it's just re-injecting that energy, momentum, connection, and leverage into their business. So you could have your whole own building, a couple of people this week, a couple of people next week. Then go down to the Agora and hang with those people. Yeah. Because you're going to come back on fire. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. That's why I think we are going to really push, we are going to really push the community outreach type stuff where it's like seminars and pitch meetings and all sorts of stuff in our office building all the time. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, not that we have to be there all the time, but I would love for that thing to be literally open. Something's going on 100%. 5 a.m. to midnight every single night. That's
what that building is so cool that we got so lucky with that. Like that's why that building, when I saw that driving, I'm like, that's it. It's like offices, warehouse in the middle of the two. Like it just, even from a flow perspective, but to have that huge open warehouse in there that's going to be developed into a common space. At least we talked about the whole bottom underneath the conference room. So there's a double conference room going in. Yep. The LED wall, podcast, all the media, that's all going to be media beside the big kitchen, 24/7 setup. We took that on our lease. So I talked to Brendan. It's like, you guys should just have that. And even Brendan and all their projects and everything will be using that to promote all their stuff and all this. That's where it's like that podcast room being busy, the LED wall being busy, the event spaces being full. We want that. Agora's community wants that. Downtown Salt Lake wants that. Brendan Blazer wants that. The whole thing is aligned. In that part of downtown, the whole rejuvenation effort around that building aligns with the actual business model. What's so cool. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be great. So kind of people listening to this, what do you think our timeline is for opening?
There's been a lot to figure out here because we're doing everything without a ton of money. We're trying to get this done without private equity or like dumping millions of our own money in.
Yeah, we're practicing what we preach.
That's it. Well, that's it. That's what I actually love about it is that this is being built through forging relationships, finding mutual value, and being in service of other people. Yeah. We couldn't do this without Blazer and his group. They own that building. The lease that they gave us, I took it to some realtors and they're like, how many times did you go back and forth on this lease? And I was like, 1. Yeah. And they're like, how do you get the reduction in rate, the TI allowance upped, the rent abatement in, and then the ROFR on the whole building? We're only taking like a fourth of it to start. You're not even on the hook for the whole building, but you get a ROFR on it, plus. Usually you get 1 of 3 or something. Right. I'm like, well, because we're not negotiating against these guys. We became friends with them. I understood when I drove around and took time out of my life to understand what they were trying to do with the neighborhood and to understand like, oh, the lease on this building, although important, is not your primary driver. You need to convert what is seen as a drug addict neighborhood, but it's littered with the coolest real estate in Salt Lake, 5 minutes from the airport. Like if you're an opportunity guy, you see it. And they are. And so they have massive projects all over. So just take time to understand that. And then when we're selling them our, like, here's what we want to do, they're like, oh, hell yeah. Because they know that we know what they're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
They don't have to explain it to us. So if then they trust that we're going to build something that's mutually accretive. Do that. This is literally why I love that we didn't take the millions and dump it, because we wouldn't have had to figure all this, be as this resourceful, which actually is leading us to be more in service, more connected, more people involved. It's not just you and I trying to like get out there and do social media after this, right? There's venture guys literally asked me if they could put together an SPV to put money together for this thing in November. And I'm like, maybe right now I don't think I need it.
Yeah.
But I love that. Thank you for that offer. And you guys are great. How about we're involved for sure as part, like operationally with your tribe and your venture guys and all this?
That's a super good point. We'll probably have to end on that. But
yeah,
the thing that's cool about that venture thing is because you and I are experienced, right? We look at it and go, no, we don't need your money yet. Where we really need their money is when we go to scale, right?
Potentially.
When we're hitting like 5, 6, 7, 10 locations, right? And and you're right. It's actually still potentially, you know, but if you don't know, right, you're going to take that deal because you're like, oh, these guys are going to pop me $3 million. That's way more than I'll ever need. Yawn, right?
Yep.
And then they're going to take 70% of the thing.
Yep.
Right. And then you're going to go build this entire thing. And then 10 years later, when you go to sell this,
Yep.
you'll still win. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
Most people don't lose when you exit. However, your win is a fifth of what it could have been.
Yeah. And
all because you don't know when to take money.
100%. And that's a huge part for us. We've been through this a lot. I might even a little bit beyond that, more on a different perspective, is that anything I do, I can't help but do stuff at scale, I guess. I thought about this. I'm like, why am I going so deep again? I'm like,
because you build to scale.
Yeah. I build a scale.
Build to sell.
Yeah, it's more interesting to me. It's more fun. Anyway, but the main thing I was like, I was just so conscious of this. I have to love doing this every day. There can't be one day where I'm under the gun and I got to go out and perform and I got to hit something for some reason. I know I'm motivated enough and I know we can make money. If that's the only thing we got to do, then I'll do it on our timeline and we'll enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be like, you have to do this by this, because then so for me, the no money thing, and I told Landon this, who runs Tribe Angels, because he's like, this is so financeable. It's just like, there's all these opportunities in here to have other services come in and I'm like, I know, but I want to just enjoy every day. Mm. And I can't do that if I'm under pressure from someone else telling me what to do. I just want to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And that was like, we've had this talk a million times. And I told someone yesterday, I'm like, we were talking about you. And I'm like, I've learned a lot over going through a lot of stuff here in the first few months, the last 6 months. And I'm like, a lot about individual people, a lot about individual friends and myself too. But I'm like, the one thing that relates to this whole like not wanting to take investment thing is like with McCormick, we didn't know what it was and we didn't know how to start it. And we didn't know what it was going to look like and who it was. And the whole time going through this, like I said, I'm committed. Like I'll go. And I know I stand on that. To lose or win. We don't know how. You're never guaranteed to do it. But I'm like, very few other people I've ever met in my life, and this is like a real compliment, will just do that. I'm like, it's kind of crazy. And it's like, it takes a guy that like, and you stood on it, and your involvement in this, and the reason like I'm happy, and I realized I'm happy to have partners like you, is because I don't want to do it alone either. Yeah. Right? That's no fun. I want good people to do shit with, and I really am more excited about them winning. Just like the companies. Yeah. I want them to look at me like, fuck. Yeah. That was wild. Good job. Yeah. I'm like, thanks, man. But it's not about the money. It's like, cool, he's happy.
Yeah, it's about building stuff.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
100%.
So
that dynamic can maintain because we figured out how to do it, and you just stand on shit and are open with like, I don't know, he'll figure it out. Yeah. That is wild. But the other investment guys don't do that. They're like, nope, here's the agreement. This is what it is. And this and that. And I'm like, well, I'm not interested in that. Yeah. Just no offense, no ego. It's not greed. It's just the day to day. Yeah. Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, let's wrap this bad boy up.
Let's do it.
I think that's it.
Yeah. That was fun.
Come hit us up on Instagram. Or come to one of our events. Come have some fun with us, guys. We're here to make money, but we're also here to help. It's a real 50-50 for us.
Yeah. 100%. Start of 2025 to answer your question.
Yeah.
When is this going to launch?
Oh yeah, we didn't answer.
The architects
probably quarter 2.
quarter.
Yeah, by the time the TIs are done, everything are done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be into 2025.
We'll update, but yeah.
Sometime between January and the second quarter, we'll be running, I think. And so between now and then, we're going to start construction, and then we're going to start figuring out who's going to be placed in there. So by the time we open, the first side we took a smaller side, better business plan. We just want to get that up and running under cash flow. And then, so 8 companies is all we're going to take for the first phase. I want to slow down at that point because we'll have 8. We have the whole building. We don't need to rush on that. So get that 8 companies in, get the common. We're all going to be doing everything. Common space is full up and running. It's all built out. We got all our offices. We're podcasting. I want to take some time and really polish the processes and make sure that Agora is running perfectly and we got it all ironed out before we jump to filling other stuff because we don't need to. It's worked out. So then probably Q3 and Q4, we'll go to the second, third floor, and then the east wing, and then the whole building will be full. That's like end state, somewhere in 12 months.
Yeah, it's going to be dope. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, dude, let's do it.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.